It's kind of funny, sometimes I'm like, all this has to fit in this. I'm digging through this. Should I just empty it out on here? So much stuff, right? Hey, I'm Alan with REI, and we're gonna take a look at everything in my running vest when I go out in the backcountry. I started running in the mountains in Southern California, which some people think don't exist, but they're there, and most of the time I just have to worry about being too hot, make sure I had more water, things of that nature. When I got into maybe longer distance things, even like fast packing, a lot of that was kind of in the desert, maybe in the Sierra in the summer, to where conditions were a little bit more moderate. When I moved up to the Northwest, I was really excited because I was like, man, I'll be hot a lot less often. But I didn't realize that also meant I'd be wet a lot more often. So conditions were changing a little bit more, things were colder. I just have to make sure I have things like gloves, have things like a wind and an insulation layer. And oftentimes, seems like maybe 8 months out of the year, I need a rain jacket.
Only 8.
So I can start talking about things that I wear no matter where I'm running, whether it's on the road or on the backcountry. And these are things that I always have with me. So probably these three most important things for me. A running hat, really like this, dig this. It's also got this really cool like adjustment on the back, the little bungee kind of cord, and fits a lot of my hair. That's often a big thing, like can I fit all of my hair in a hat? Next up are these glasses. These are some Oakley Prism lens glasses. I never thought I needed glasses until the first time I was running in the mountains, and I was like, oh, my eyes are really tired. Growing up in Southern California, I never wore sunglasses until I started running, which just seems interesting. And then coming here, I was like, oh, I probably won't need glasses. And then sometimes the sun peeks through and you think that I'd be like, you know, doing a big jump of joy and celebrating, but the first thing I reach for is putting my sunglasses down. Now I'm just like, oh, it's too sunny. So sunglasses are always with me as well. And then I have these headphones. These are the Aftershock headphones. They like leave your ear open. It's bone induction technology, which is really nice. And I got this because even down in Southern California, on some of the local trails I'd be running, and sometimes around sunset, like there'd be coyotes that were there, and I'm like, oh, they're pretty close. I should probably like be aware of things that are around me. And then out here, I've definitely been startled by some of the mountain goats, some of the bears. I really like that it keeps my ears open while still giving me that time to kind of connect with either an audiobook or some music that I feel helps me get me in the mood of the run. I'm wearing my Solomon running vest that I've had for a long time and that I love. Kind of built a standard kit, and I just have all that stuff in the vest now. Should I just start saying what's in the pack? If we start with the shoulder straps, these water bottles that I always carry, these are the Ultimate Direction water bottles. First, I like that you can open and close the bite valve, which is really nice, and I can do that with my teeth. It's pretty funny, when I first got these, I was like, these don't even work. I can't get water out. I ran for 8 miles thinking that I was not able to, it was like a defective thing before I like just opened it and drank it. And then I got home and I was like, oh, pull up. I like that I can do that now that I know I can do it. They also got like the bigger opening on the top so that you can put some hydration tablets. So I tend to put like some Noon or some Scratch. Sometimes I'll alternate and put one bottle like water, one bottle some hydration nutrition in there. Then in the front as well, I got my Garmin InReach. This little device is pretty rad because, again, it gives me peace of mind. It gives my family and my loved ones at home peace of mind. I guess one thing I didn't mention was my watch. My watch is always on me, I guess, even when I don't run. But one of the things I like about the Garmin ecosystem is that it all talks to each other. So I can like flip up a screen on my watch and it can give me messages on my InReach, which is nice. Then moving on to the zippered pocket. I got one of the Adventure Medical kits. Sometimes there are rare occasions where I will run with someone, and in those occasions, I will turn to them and ask them if they have a first aid kit, and 99% of the time they say no. So I bring a first aid kit for 2.
That's so thoughtful.
Yeah. So next up is a headlamp. This is a newer Black Diamond Spot headlamp. One of the big things that changed, just even in my road running up here, is carrying a headlamp all the time. I never even used to carry a headlamp in my car, and now, like last year, I remember running through one of the local parks, and it was like 4 o'clock in November, and I'm like, where am I? There's like nobody here. This is like a ghost town, and it is completely dark once you get into tree coverage. So that's most of the stuff that's in the zippered compartment. But moving on to the pouch, the kind of kangaroo pocket in the back, I'll carry some gloves. These are some Smart Wool liner gloves. They're old. They're even like, you know, wearing out on the fingers, but they were supposed to be touchscreen. I felt like they never were, and now they are. Like now, my skin goes through them. They could be touchscreen compatible. So I'll take some of these liner gloves, no matter what run I'm doing out here in the mountains, because I feel like I'll always get cold in my extremities. I'll have a wind jacket. This wind jacket I really like. It's a Marmot wind jacket that's kind of like a Houdini. One of the things I like about it is that when you do pack it up, it'll just go kind of into itself. But the nice thing is it's got this like, you know, hand elastic strap. So if I wanted to run with it, I can just do that. Then back here, what else do I have? I got a water filter, which I tend to carry a lot in the backcountry. So the actual filter system is made by Katadyn and is the Be-Free filter. I love this thing. It's really small. It's really easy to field maintain. What else do we got? Oh. This is some hand sanitizer. You've probably seen those things clipped to people's backpacks. And I never understood the reason for it. I was like, do you need to protect your hand sanitizer that much? I thought that's what people put these things on. I'm that person now. And it's become like a texture thing. So I can feel around in my backpack, and when I feel the silicone thing, I know that's my hand sanitizer. And the rest of the stuff out here, looks like I loaded it up with some nutrition. If I was on a shorter run, probably what I'd do is maybe a block and some applesauce. What I like about this applesauce is that there's no added sugar, there's no added ingredients. It's just apples and strawberries, and that's it. And it's easy to kind of just suck up. And these guys, the shop blocks, they taste like candy. You're like, are you sure this isn't candy? Probably is. It's just a different name, nutritional candy. But anyways, these things keep me going a ton. If I'm going for something that's a little bit longer and requires maybe like a different type of nutrition, I really like these Patagonia Provision bars. They're like really sustainable ingredients. They're ingredients that you know would be good for you. The reason I don't always take this stuff with me is that I've heard that with the extra fiber, sometimes it's harder to break down while you're doing an activity like running. But if I'm going out for a longer day and I need some more substance, I might have this at a stopping point. My favorite stopping points are lakes, so I'll sit by the lake and just kind of munch on a bar a little bit. If I'm not feeling the Patagonia bar, then I might go with the lemon raspberry bar by Bearded Brothers. Really dig these bars. What I feel like is weather resistant kind of nutritional pieces to take with me are some of these waffles. So the honey stinger waffles. I've been out in very high heat in desert and they haven't melted. I've been out where it's been like very, very cold and you try to take like a bite of a frozen shop block and you're gonna break your teeth. I've had the waffles and it's like, it's a little harder, but it's not gonna break your teeth, which is nice. So I like the honey stingers. I like the taste, but also that they just seem like weatherproof, which is kind of cool. And lastly in the pack is some Tenacious Tape. I definitely try to take some with me whenever I go out. This is just kind of my repair kit. One of my favorite Tenacious Tape stories is, well, going up into the Sierra, I was showing somebody how to play with some ice axes and crampons, and they were learning, and so what ended up happening is they just shredded their waterproof pants. We were able to kind of put some Tenacious Tape on there. It was able to stay a little bit drier, which was kind of nice, and he was like stoked. He's like, man, I can't wait to go back to the store, buy some Tenacious Tape, make sure that these pants can hold up. And as we're coming down the trailhead, there was somebody that had stopped, like pulled on the side of the road, was in kind of some trouble, and we're like, hey, are y'all okay? And they're like, man, radiator hose is busted. Like, do y'all have any duct tape? I was like, all I got is Tenacious Tape. And they tried it. They were able to kind of fix up the radiator hose and kind of keep moving. So I was like, well, it can do radiator hose stuff and rain pant stuff. So I tend to take it with me wherever I go. Let's put this in here. Oh, hey, look at these big open pockets. Nothing's falling. Hopefully I'm never upside down on the trail. I think I'd have bigger problems than if my applesauce fell out. What's in my vest now is pretty standard for me when I go out into the backcountry for a couple hours. If I'm going for something a little bit longer, one consideration I might make is a trowel. I'll definitely bring a trowel with me if I think I'm gonna be out there longer. Another consideration I might make, especially if it's like peak mosquito season or if I'm going somewhere where there's a ton of maybe like stagnant water, that's where I'll take this bug net. I tend to be pretty stubborn about maybe putting on some bug spray sometimes. I also tend to be forgetful. But one of the things I like about this, especially running with it, is that when you have a hat with a brim, it kind of pops that out a little bit, so it kind of keeps it away from your face. I'm gonna be running in weather that might turn or it's just a little bit colder, then I might take a few other options with me, especially some insulation layers. So the first thing that I might take with me is a second set of gloves. These are some Mount Hardwear OutDry gloves. What I'll tend to do is I'll maybe get my lighter pair of gloves and just pair them with these if I needed to. If it's just raining but not super cold, I can just wear these. And if it's raining and cold, then I'll go ahead and pair the two together. Something else I might take with me in those types of conditions is this insulation layer. So this is a Marmot Dry Climb insulation layer. It's windproof on the side, but it's still got like these very breathable under the arm panels, which is kind of nice. Also got these zippered pockets. I'll either take this or I'll take this vest. It's usually one or the other. This is the Nano Air Vest. If it's windy and cold, I'll take this. If it's just cold, I might just take this. Sometimes, even though this is cozier, it's where will it fit? So sometimes it's just a space question, and that's why I'll often take that guy. So I'll tend to put this piece in the back here just because hopefully I'm wearing it mostly when I'm stopped. Another option I like to take staying warm are these Patagonia Houdini pants. These pants I really enjoy when I don't want to wear tights for the whole day, but you get up to that exposed ridge and you're like, oh, I'm really cold. And somebody's like, but can we take a picture? Or, you know, the meteor shower is supposed to start soon. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna throw these wind pants on just so I can be cozy in that way. And it's one of those things, again, that they weigh nothing. I think they're like 4 ounces or something like that. Sometimes I'll make the call to either take a wind jacket or a rain jacket. So the wind jacket is what I take with me most of the time. It's got, like most technical fabrics, a light DWR, durable water repellency. So it'll keep most of that precipitation off. And like I said, it's fairly lightweight. This is an Arc'teryx Norvan SL, which is honestly probably as lightweight as this wind jacket, which is far out. It's definitely windproof, but it's also waterproof, which is nice. So this allows for more breathability than lots of jackets. It was made specifically for running. I really love this piece, but you know, when it comes down to it, it is not as breathable as something that is not waterproof. So assuming the weather is more inclement, I'll take this with me and I will trade it out for this. A couple other pieces there are kind of like a buff. So if I put my hat on, it's a pretty easy thing to just go put it over here and just kind of keep it on your neck. It's easy to just kind of come up here. If you have your hat on, you can just put it just kind of, for me, right below my ponytail and just above here. For me, my ears get super cold, so I'll just pop this down, you know, and just kind of cover up my ears a little bit. And then when my ears are super warm, I just move it just slightly up. So the buff is something that I think is super helpful in those spaces, so I'll tend to take it with me a lot. So if it's gonna be like an all-day run, maybe I'm gonna be on the trail for like 10 hours, or I'm gonna get up like right at sunrise, then I'll take a beanie with me. And this is a Smart Wool 150 beanie, really lightweight. It does fit my hair, which is a big criteria for a lot of these things. So that'll go in there. My probably favorite thing to do in the world is run downhill on snow-covered trails. I mean, like, how can I not think I'm cool when I'm doing that? So this helps me do that. These are Catula microspikes. These are just kind of things that give you traction on the snow. Oftentimes I found people on the trail being like, what are you running in, you know? Or sometimes people look at me. I think especially if you go to a very popular part of any national park in the winter and you got these things on, it seems like everybody in different foreign languages is saying their word for what's on his shoes, you know? And they're making sure that they can get some microspikes whenever they get there. So microspikes are awesome. I love having them around. So those will go in my kit. A couple other things, if I need them, will be some hand warmers. You can also throw them in your shoes. I think everybody's got a hand warmer story that they're just like, oh my God, these things saved my life. So sometimes I'll keep them in there just with my first aid kit, just in the chance that things get really gnarly. And if things get really gnarly, again, I'll take a space blanket sometimes. These are just kind of nice things to have, just like as an insurance policy. So I'll throw that in there and make sure that, like, if we're gonna be out there for longer times on the trails, even if it's just me by myself, it's probably a smart idea to have on me. When I finally am done with the run and I get back to the car, I'm really grateful to have a few things in there. So one of the first things I'll have in there, especially coming into Washington, is a towel. It's just kind of like, you know, a beat up old towel that I can just use to wipe both rain and sweat off. Maybe I'll kind of even keep it on the bottom part of my seat when I'm driving, just so that's not super wet. After I kind of dry off, then the things that I make sure that I have are just a change of clothes. So maybe something quick, maybe even a tech shirt that I know will dry fast, something that I can kind of put on that's pretty, comfortable. Some joggers that are just cozy. I'll often take an extra pair of cozy socks and even a beanie. It's one of those things where like you're running and it's 30 degrees and you're like, I feel great. And then you sit in the car for like 2 minutes and everything is numb. So I'll throw a beanie on and some socks on to just make sure that I feel a little bit better. And then as soon as I get to the car and I take my shoes off, I'll switch into my recovery slides. These are Hooker recovery slides. I now live in them. You know, they're comfortable slides, but they also do, maybe I'm just telling myself that, but they do feel like it activates my recovery a lot faster. So I'll throw these on. I can't live without them anymore. So aside from just kind of staying comfortable and cozy, I'll definitely want to revisit some hydration and nutrition stuff. So I'll keep some extra water in there. It's one of those things where, like, as I know I'm getting super close to the car, maybe I'll see a sign that tells me the trailhead's a mile away. I'll start kind of depleting the soft bottles and making sure I'm getting some water in there. But oftentimes, you know, you probably need to hydrate a lot more after efforts like that. So I'll either keep a Nalgene in my car is always one of those big water jugs that I can refill more water if I need to. But I find having a separate Nalgene is really helpful just because you can refill any of the other quicker bottles that you can have while you're driving. So I'll always carry one of those. And then for nutrition, usually I'm putting a lot of salt back into my body with some of these salted tortilla chips. I'm trying to eat a lot healthier. This is one of the things I can't change. Like these tortilla chips, I can't live without. I tell myself that they're better for me because they're organic, but they still got a bunch of oil in them. But they got salt on them, which is nice. Honestly, that's a big part of my post-run kind of like ritual. And then dates. Dates are kind of interesting because they are one of those pivots towards healthier eating. And I'll usually eat these 30 minutes before a run, so I'll eat a serving of dates. I've heard them often called nature's energy gels, which is kind of nice. So I'll eat some of those right before I go on a run, and then after a run, they're just kind of to replace that sugar too. So yeah, it seems kind of obnoxious that I have a bucket full of dates, but they are really good, and I do think they work really well. So that covers everything that's in my standard running vest for different conditions. But if there's anything I missed, or if there's something different that you all carry, feel free to put that in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Just feel like so cool when I have them on. It's one of those things where you're like, can I be in Trail Runner magazine right now? It's kind of how I feel.